Okay, so this lesson is going to recap your knowledge on lines. Let's take a look at horizontal lines. Okay, horizontal lines look like this, and there was probably something that you learned back in Algebra 1 called Buck's-Hoy. Okay, so in terms of horizontal, that would be H-O-Y. H standing for horizontal. Okay, and this O is actually helping us remember the slope. Okay, so the slope of a horizontal line is 0. Okay, and Y tells us that it's going to be a Y equals equation. So I'm looking at this horizontal line, okay, and sometimes what I like to do is think of a little man on this kind of a hill. What if he's skiing? How fast is he going to go if you're just standing on a flat hill? You're going to go 0. Okay, so the slope for something like this is m equals 0. And the equation of this line is y equals, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Since we're at a value of 3, the equation is y equals 3. Okay, vertical lines, on the other hand, okay, are going straight up and down. This is Vux, V-U-X. And what do these letters help us remember? Well, V tells us about the vertical lines. U is supposed to help us with the slope. Okay, so the slope is undefined. Undefined. We don't say 0. We don't say can't tell. Okay, we don't say no. We say undefined. And then X tells us that it's an X equals equation. Okay, X equals number. So these are the special lines. I'm looking at this vertical line right here, and I'm thinking of a little guy that's trying to ski down a hill that has this kind of slope. Okay, and I don't know about you, but this person is not going to do very well. Okay, he's going to fall off that hill, which helps me remember that the slope is undefined. Okay, you can't ski like that. What's the equation? X equals, I look at the x-axis, and it's touching a value of 2. X equals 2. Another way you could do this is take a look at all the points. This is the point 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3. All of the x values have a value of 2. Okay. In terms of the diagonal lines, these ones are going either uphill or downhill. Okay, and I like to think of a car. So the car always drives from left to right. This car is going to be going uphill, and so the slope for something like this is going to be positive. In order to find the slope, you'd have to find 2 points, and you have to do a rise over a run. Okay. A downhill line, again, the car drives left to right. This car is going downhill, and then the slope is going to be negative. Okay, so you'd have to find 2 points, and once again, that's not a point, not a point. Here's a point. It would be down and then over. Okay. For both of these equations, when your line is diagonal, you're going to have y equals mx plus b as your equation. You're going to have y's and x's as your variables. When you are vertical or horizontal, when you run these special lines, you only get one letter in your equation. Okay? I hope it's all coming back to you. All right, the slope formula. Okay, so the formula for slope, the letter is m, and it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's the equation, the formula for slope. Okay. You don't have to necessarily put the 2's first. So you could also do y1 minus y2, okay, as long as you follow that same pattern in the bottom. x1 minus x2, okay? I just need to make sure that everybody here remembers to wise up. Okay, make sure you're smart when you're doing slope. Wise, go on the top. Okay, wise up. Wise up. Be smart. All right, let's find the slope between these 2 points. So I'm going to do an example with you. I'm going to call this x and call this y. I'll call this x, call this y. It doesn't matter which one's number 1 and number 2 as long as you keep the same pattern. Okay, so I'm going to use this point right here as my starting point. And the slope formula is y minus y. So give me a y. Starting y is 5. Minus the other y, which is 2. Okay, and now it's time for x's. So the starting x is negative 3. and then I'm going to minus my other x, which is a -1. You have to put the negative here. And remember, a negative, negative, those make a positive. Okay, so now I have 3 over -2. Now we're not going to leave the negative sign in the denominator because that's kind of hidden. So there's a couple ways that you can go ahead and do this. Okay, you can take the negative sign and you can put it up on the top so it's clear for people to see. Okay, or, this is a good answer, or you could also take the negative and put it out in front of the fraction -3/2, and you can do it like that. Okay. Right, let's go to the next page. The first type of formula that we're going to study is point slope. Now, this is the one that most people don't like, or they don't really remember learning it too well, but this one's actually easier. It's not taught first because it's a little more complex. So when you were younger, your teacher probably didn't start with this. But we need a point, okay, an x comma y, and you need a slope. A point and a slope. And the formula looks like this. Y minus, okay, then you put your y1 value. And then equals, then you put your m value, okay, and then we have the quantity x minus your x value. So this is where you put your point, and that's where you put your slope. Okay, so the point is right here, and then that is the slope value right there. Okay, so if you're given a point and a slope, this formula is actually pretty fast. For example, write the equation in point-slope form. So make sure you listen to directions on a test. I will be asking you to say the equations one way or the other. Okay. So here's the point, 1 comma 2, and the slope is 4. Okay. So y minus, give me a y. We're going to put the 2, equals, give me an m, 4. And then we have x minus, give me an x, which is what? I feel like such a cheerleader when we do this. When it says point slope form, okay, point slope form, this is the final answer. You just leave it like that, okay, and you can stop. Now, how do you graph with point slope form? Well, you start with the point, which is 1 comma 2. There's your point. Okay, and we're going to use slope to get to other points. So the slope is 4 over 1, which is positive, which means this line needs to go uphill. So I'm going to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm off the graph paper. Over 1. Okay, so not only can you go up and over, you can also go down. Let's try that. 1, 2, 3, down 4, and I'd have to go left 1. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1. I'm off the graph paper again. Okay, so when you draw your line, make sure it's nice and straight. Okay, and it goes farther than these points. Just because the graph paper ended doesn't mean your line ends. You must put arrows, okay, on your line. Arrows. We're not drawing segments from geometry, we're drawing lines. Okay, here's another one. Write the equation in point slope form. So let's make sure that we pay very close attention to the form that they're asking for, point slope form. And they're giving me 2 points. So for point slope form, I usually need a point and a slope. And they didn't give me the slope. So how am I going to do this? Well, we're going to find it ourselves. So let's calculate the slope. So let's see, which y should I start with? I think I'll start with 7. This will be my starting point. So 7 minus the other y, which is 4. In the bottom, I need an x. So I'll start with 2 minus the other x, which is -4. 7 minus 4 is 3. Minus makes plus, which is 6. But we must reduce our fractions to say 1/2. Okay? I want to show you right now how your calculator can help you reduce. This one was easy. But in case you need to know how to reduce a fraction, okay, go grab your calculator app, and I'm going to get the fraction button, which is alpha y equals, and it's number 1. So I'm going to type 3 in the numerator and then I'll type 6 in the denominator, okay? And when you hit enter, it automatically reduces fractions that can be reduced for you. Okay, so if your fraction was huge, you can go ahead and use that technique. All right, so we've got a slope of 1/2. So to write the equation in point-slope form, I need a point and a slope. So let's write it. Y minus, the first y is 7, equals mx minus his x, which is 2. So if this is the point you choose, you use that y and that x, okay? And this is a perfectly acceptable answer. Some people might be asking, well, what if I chose the other point on the test? Okay, I'd have to accept either. Okay, so here's another version of the same line. Y minus this y is 4. And then we have 1/2 x minus his x is minus 4. And a minus minus makes a plus. Okay, 2 totally perfect answers. I would have to accept either one, depending on which point you chose. Okay, point-slope form. All right, the last form that we're going to look at today is slope-intercept form. And this is the one that most people say that they started learning when they first did algebra. This is the form teachers usually start with. So slope, meaning you have an m, and intercept, okay, that's talking about the y-intercept. That's your b value. Okay, and so this formula is y equals mx plus b. Okay, if it's in that form, then your slope is right here. You just look at the number in front of x, slope, and then that number right there is the y-intercept. Now when I say what's the slope, you don't tell me the x, you just tell me the number in front of the x. X is separate, m is separate. Okay, find the m and the b and then graph. Okay, so I'm noticing for this one right here, I can't just say 2 and 4. It's not in the correct form. Okay, so we're going to have to rearrange. So let's rearrange this equation. X's have to go to the other side. So for y, you stay on the left. When you switch sides, you switch signs. Okay, so I've got the y on the left, except he's still not alone. So everything would have to get divided by a 4. Y is equal to, let's reduce this, negative 1/2 x plus 2. Now that it's in slope-intercept form, okay, saying the m and the b is super easy. So what's the slope of this line? You look in front of the x and you take that number. The slope is negative 1/2. You don't say x, that's the variable. It's the number in front of x. Okay, and I notice that this is a negative, so the line that I'm drawing will be downhill. Okay, how about the b value? The b value is the constant, okay, that's over on the right, and that would be 2. Okay, so what's the y-intercept? The y-intercept is the point 0, 2. Okay, and these two things is enough to help me graph the line. So we're going to start with the y-intercept, 0, 2. Okay, so on the y-axis, that is the point where it crosses. And now I'm going to use my slope to get from this point to several other points. Down 1 over 2. Okay, I want you to fill up the graph paper. Down 1 over 2. The more points you draw, okay, the more chance of your line going straight. Sometimes it veers off a little. Let's go the other way. We would go up 1, but then left 2. And it keeps the points in a line. Up 1, left 2. Okay, fill up the graph paper with as many points as you can fit till you run out of space. Okay, when you draw this, okay, you don't draw a line segment. What you do is you draw a nice, long, extended line, and you have to put arrows on it. And it did go downhill just like I thought. Okay. You could also take your intercept knowledge and apply it here. The x-intercept, cover up the y, looks like it should be 4, which works. The y-intercept, divide by 4 should be 2. Okay, so I can check using intercepts. This line is perfect. Okay, write the equation with a slope of 3 and a point of negative 2, 3 using slope-intercept form. So let's make sure that we're using the correct form. Okay, so So I've got a slope and I've got a point. Now when I see a slope and a point, I really want to start with point-slope form. What? Yeah, this is so easy if I just do y minus the y number equals m. And now we've got x minus makes plus 2. Okay, so this is point-slope form. But it didn't say point-slope form, okay? But this is a really nice way to start. All I have to do is distribute the 3, okay, do a little bit of rearranging, and I'll put it into slope-intercept form. So if I distribute the 3, that makes 3x plus 6. And then I'll add 3 to both sides, and now I've quickly rearranged it into slope-intercept form. So even though this is point-slope form, he helped me with one quick little distributing to get it into slope-intercept form. Okay, so this is the form that they wanted. Now I'm going to show you the way that your teacher probably taught you this back when you were, wee little 8th grader or 9th grader. A lot of times teachers would use y equals mx plus b. Okay, so we're going to take the y number 3 and we're going to put it in. We're going to take the m number 3, put it there. Multiply by the x number. So the only number we don't have is b. And then your teacher said solve for b and then rewrite it by substituting b back in. So 3 equals negative 6 plus b. Add the 6, and now we get the b value is 9, okay, which is the b value that we got over here. So now we know the m, we know the slope, and we know the y-intercept. So now we can go ahead and write the equation y equals 3x plus 9. Both of these methods are totally acceptable. Okay, this one's a little faster, more elegant, so I think switching over to this is going to make your life easier, but you could always do it the old-fashioned way. The only thing is if there's fractions and stuff, sometimes this gets a little more complicated. Okay. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. Okay. Whenever you write an equation, no matter what form they want, okay, you have to find a slope. You must always have the slope. And since they didn't give us the slope, we're going to have to find it ourselves. Okay. Y minus y. Which y do you want to start with? 8 or negative 6? I want to start with 8. 8 minus the other y, which is negative 6. And then I'll start with negative 1 minus the other x, which is negative 3. And we have 14 over 2, which gives us a slope of 7. Okay, and now we're going to find the equation. I'm going to use point-slope form like I did up here and just rearrange. Y minus y equals m times x minus x. You could have also used that point. You also could have used y equals mx plus b. Okay, either way, I want to see all your work. And let's see what you get for your final answer in slope-intercept form.